Today I'm going to show you how to set up and operate the High 115 pump. First thing we want to do is we want to go over the pump itself, physically go over the pump, making sure that there's no flaw, anything out of the ordinary. We're going to check our couplers, make sure our couplers and O-ring are intact. We're going to look down here, make sure we have our oil fill level. There's no discoloration in the color of the oil, and make sure the fill is up to the level that it's right on the top sight glass right over here. Next thing we want to do is check our harness cable, making sure that there's no fraying cuts or anything like that that's going to hinder us from operating the pump. We already sourced out our adequate power source going to the pump. We're going to do the same thing for the power cable, checking the cable all the way to the plug end of it. We've already done so we already plugged that in. And now the gauge, we want to make sure the gauge is calibrated. It's the current calibration and everything is up to date. And from there, all we're going to do now is test the pump to make sure that we have power coming to the pump, and we're going to make sure that the pump is building pressure. So first thing I'm going to do with my remote, we have the red button for stop, green for go. I'm going to hit the green button, which turns our pump on. And as the pump is running, I'm going to just make sure it's building pressure. Dial that pressure all the way up, making sure it's dialing up to maximum pressure setting. And I'm going to release it. There you go. All right, so now we know that we have maximum pressure. We did designate a bolting job today, which is going to be 500 foot-pounds, or 563, I believe. So I'm just dialing that back down. And what I'm going to do now is the other check we have to do is to make sure that the hose is up to par. So we want to check our hoses the same way we checked our cable. Okay, so now we're going to connect our hose onto the pump. Remember to keep your couplers clean. Check to make sure the O-ring is present. Make sure that there's no debris that's sitting inside of the well of the coupler. And you're going to push in on that ball and turn. Remember, don't crank too much on these, just a quick wiggle. Make sure it's nice and snug, closing the gap. I'm gonna get my second hose. I'm gonna connect it on here. Here we're gonna do the same thing on the tool end. We're gonna check the tool, make sure the tool, today's tool is gonna be a Stealth 2. For the Stealth 2, we do have a pressure to torque conversion chart. So all we're gonna do is look down here for the foot-pounds desired, which is going to be 563, and then from there we're going to go across to 3,000 psi, and that's going to be our pump setting. Now that we have our pressure setting, we're going to finish up connecting onto the tool. Remember to check the couplers, no fraying of the hose, no kinks. And as we connect, I'm going to use gravity here to help me. Push down on it, making sure that gap is nice and flush, and repeat the same process just on the tool end. And here's a second hose. And just remember to see, I'm doing this with 2 fingers. You don't need much. We want to not use external hand tools. Now, all I'm going to do is position my tool to where I can see my ratchet turning. I'm going to go to the tool. I'm going to power the tool on and do what we call a function check, making sure that the tool is functioning, the pump is building pressure. So I power the pump on, and now I'm gonna press the advance button, which is then going to advance my gauge, and now I'm gonna dial in my pressure setting. And for our pressure setting today, we want 3,000 psi, and there it is. I'm going to cycle it to confirm that it is at 3,000 psi, and then I'm going to lock that setting in place using our wing nut. That wing nut's going to make sure no one tampers with our setting, and our setting is completed. Now the next thing we need to do is attach the tool onto the application. Here we have our bolt, which is numbered 1 through 8, using the legacy star pattern. Get it on here. And secure the tool on the application. Now that my tool is secured onto the application, I don't have to hold on to the tool. Now I go back to my pump remote. We have the green advance button and red for stop. Now, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna announce every time I energize this button as a pump operator, I like to yell power. So I wanna say power, and I'm waiting for that all clear. Once I hear all clears off of the other tools, if we're using multiple tools, then I know I can go ahead and advance the green button. So right now I'm gonna advance the green button, start the process. Power, wait for the clear, clear. And now we're gonna cycle the tool until there's no more clicks on the tool end of it. And I'm looking at my gauge at the same time, making sure that it is going to 3,000 PSI. I'm listening and I'm looking. Every time I advance, I want to hold down for at least 3 seconds and release. Now I'm not hearing any more clicks on the tool end of it, and my needle is going directly to 3,000 PSI. Confirming that I have no more clicks on this end. And there you have it. That is how to properly set up and operate the High 115 pump.